Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Unfortunately, Mr. Mitchell is ill. We wish him better, but we have a fine substitute. Jim Denton has the rundown.
Sam, this morning we're going to be talking to John L. Smith on a variety of subjects from Macau to maybe station casinos coming to northern Nevada.
And joining us on the Power Pundit panel today, Pam DuPre, Harry York, and Marlene Lockard. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
This is one of Sierra Power's main generating plants. It's right next door to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. These plants provide all the clean, reliable power that businesses need. TRI has 3 independent power generation facilities on site. For sensitive manufacturing companies and high-tech firms, this benefit is invaluable. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
For more than a decade, the Southern Nevada Water Authority has been helping the community embrace conservation as a way of life. That includes replacing more than 50 million square feet of grass with water-smart landscaping. During the worst drought on record, watering restrictions and tough landscaping codes have reduced the community's water use by billions of gallons, even as thousands of new residents were moving into Nevada. That's smart water management, and that's our promise to Nevada.
I tell you, John, this industry has really changed.
Tell me about it.
You seemed to do pretty well last year. What's your secret?
No secrets. Although I'll tell you something. The smartest thing I did was sign up with Pro Group Management.
Really? Yeah, they do workers' comp, right?
Yeah, their services are great. And get this, they saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
That works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
Many of the materials we rely on every day come from the ground, and modern mining technology brings them to us cleaner and safer than ever before. To learn more about America's natural resources, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, as I mentioned, Tom Mitchell, the editor of the Las Vegas Review-Journal, not feeling well today and reluctantly had to pull the plug on his appearance. He'll be joining us in a few weeks here. But in the meantime, Jim Denton and I are going to be talking to John L. Smith. We were talking to him yesterday. We have so many more things to talk about. Welcome back to the program, John.
Thank you. It's good to be back with you.
Okay.
Good morning, John.
Wanted to ask you about a little bit more about the New York cops who were mafioso and moved to Las Vegas. You say there's a sidebar about an accountant working for the FBI. What's the deal on that?
It's really one of the fascinating side elements of this case is that the FBI hooked up some years ago with a man named Steve Corso. Corso is by trade an accountant, but I would assume by profession, I don't know, a half a wise guy himself, probably. A bit of a smooth talker. He moved all over town attempting to get certain people that the FBI had focused on involved in criminal activity. People who the FBI believes, and I say FBI, it's also the Drug Enforcement Administration, of course, believes were predisposed to commit a crime. So there's no entrapment issues really, and it's my the word that I've received is that he was unsuccessful with a few folks who were in and around the Crazy Horse 2.
Wait a minute, John, time out. I got to ask you a question.
Yes.
How is someone predisposed to commit a crime when they get recruited by an accountant?
It's a good question. A person with a criminal background, according to most courts, is a person who we can assume has knowledge of criminal activity and is more likely to commit a crime. There are several elements that fit that fit that description, and what law enforcement tries to do is fit within that parameter so they don't get an entrapment issue.
So we're talking essentially about people that have been a frequent visitor to the judicial system, then, is what you're saying, as opposed to recruiting new people?
Yes, that's correct. A frequent visitor to prison, friendly with the mob social clubs, things like that. Those are the folks that tend to be focused on.
So did anybody take the bait?
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, Mr. Caracappa and Mr. Eppolito. Eppolito is of course interested, and he's been a bit actor in movies like Goodfellas and Bullets Over Broadway, and he is very interested and motivated in being part of the Hollywood scene as an actor, as a script writer, as a producer, any way he can get in. The word that I have is that Corso approached him and said, "I've got money to finance your movie dreams, but the money's bad money. It's illegal." And apparently Eppolito said, "Oh, I don't care about that." And of course, knowing what we know about him now, we can understand why he wouldn't mind. But he apparently took the bait, and that's the money laundering charge involved in this indictment, all coming from a fellow working for the government, a fellow who basically offered folks money, and some of them took it and some of them didn't. It's my understanding that one of the folks who did not take it is a fellow whose name has been around the Las Vegas media for 30 years, a man named Joey Cusimano, who is also a movie producer, who has been involved in the movies for a number of years, and of course is also in Nevada's Black Book, because years ago he was an associate of Anthony Spilatro.
Also known as smart guy for not taking the money. But so when he says, "I have bad money," I mean, didn't they ask him where it came from? Didn't they ask him what kind of bad money? Didn't they ask him how you got a hold of it and why you want to use it to finance my movie career, or any of those other what I would think were pertinent questions?
You bet. I think if they were being prudent, they would have asked all those questions, but I think they were being criminal, and they didn't care. They liked the sound of money, and I think they didn't care where it came from. It's not unlike some certain politicians that we've run across over the years. They've been inclined to accept donations from everyone and anyone, and but certainly in this case, Corso made it clear, this is where the criminal activity comes in. He made it clear that what he had, I believe it was drug money, it was his proposition, but he had money from a criminal source, and they were more than happy to secret it and to launder it.
Which brings us to my next question, while I interrupt Sam here. Speaking of mobs and money and those sorts of things, I want to talk about gambling in Macau, John.
Yeah.
I was in Macau a number of years ago, and the gambling in Macau was basically locked down by one Stanley Ho. If he didn't own it, it didn't have a slot machine or anything else in it, and it was a popular venture then. What are you hearing about what's going on there, John?
Well, more recently, with the changeover, with the greater influence of the Chinese government, they have basically broken Ho's monopoly. Ho still owns a large piece of the pie, perhaps half, but
half isn't bad.
Oh, it's not bad at all. But the other influences that are growing there, that probably chief among them is Sheldon Adelson, who has hooked up with a major Chinese family, which is his financial backer, and he is has already opened one casino and plans to build a mega resort. So I think that is probably the most attractive, most volatile, potentially, market there is. The Chinese government has promised that Macau's operators would have 50 years of free sailing without any influence. But we know a lot can happen in 50 years, especially in China. So I tend to think that these folks are going to get their money while they can, and they might even have, you never know, they might even have a yacht all gassed up and ready to go.
Well, now, Alan Feldman was on this program, and I asked him about potential problems with the Chinese mafia, essentially the Tongs. And he said, well, we dealt with that problem in Las Vegas and got rid of the mob out of Las Vegas, and we'll be able to handle this as well. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think to a great extent, he's probably right if you're talking about the games themselves, the fairness of the games, the squareness of the games. But remember, just 5 years ago, even within Stanley Ho's casinos, there were areas of the casino that were more or less leased or owned, at least in spirit, by members of triad groups. The 10K triad is a major influence on that island. Most of the prisoners in the Macau prison are triad members, so they've definitely thrown a lot of them in prison. But I'm presuming that they haven't decided just to give up and go away without something in exchange.
How are they going to square all of this, John, with the Nevada Gaming Commission? Because the problem has never been with the mob in Las Vegas when they allegedly used to be in the casino business. The problem was never the fairness of the games as much as it was the first, second, and third count of the money before gaming revenue taxes or anything else was paid.
Right, I completely agree with you. I think it would be naive, at the very least, to assume that the Nevada gaming authorities are going to have much of an eye on the Macau area. They will be, I tend to think they'll be reactive instead of proactive, which is understandable. I mean, the number of gaming agents in Nevada is not enough to look after the games in Nevada, much less the games on a foreign island thousands of miles away.
Let's take a break, John. We'll come back more with John L. Smith from Las Vegas. Always fascinating. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
For a videotape copy of any Nevada Newsmakers program, call 775-857-2244. The tapes are $20 each, including shipping.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
Reno's best dining values are all at one casino, the Pepper Mill. You can enjoy great savings on our popular specials. Pepper Mill's coffee shop offers daily lunch specials, low-carb dining, and all your favorite comfort foods. You'll find sensational lunch specials featuring Reno's freshest seafood, sushi, pasta, and more at Oceano. And early bird specials at Reno's Premier Steakhouse and Romanza Ristorante Italiano. The best values are at the Pepper Mill. Where are you dining?
Your best value in sight is here for you to see. From frames to lenses to eye exams, you're covered A to Z. Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
Davis Optical Centers, with 2 locations in Reno and Sparks.
Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
When you need a new employee, how can you be sure who you're really hiring? A background investigation by Employer Links will uncover criminal records, verify the applicant's education, check their credit history and Social Security verification. An investigation will research professional licenses and driver's licenses and let you know why they're unemployed. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are joined by John L. Smith, and continue our conversation.
Hey, John, Station Casinos is starting to look like they're going to build a property here in northern Nevada. Now, I've never known Station Casinos to make a dumb move in Nevada gaming. That says a lot about the vitality of the Reno market to me. My question is, what do you think is going to happen in that regard?
Well, as I understand it, the land acquisition will wind up being kind of a patented Station casino, mid-size, extremely tightly run resort and casino. It's the kind of thing that I think bodes very well for the market up north, but it also, I think it also says something about the changing market up north. A lot of the folks who've been doing business downtown are going to be challenged. A lot of folks, even who've been doing business in the general area, they're going to have to be on their game to compete, because Station really, they know how to run that locals market.
And what way would you see them acting?
Pardon me?
In terms of marketing, what way would you see them going after the other business?
Well, I think what they'll do is, if I'm understanding the geography of the location, I'm assuming that they will do is try to capture the regional gambler, the kind of gambler who's coming in for a weekend, because there's an awful lot of gambling that goes on that isn't going on in downtown Reno anymore.
So in other words, John, what you're saying is they're going to convert their people at their Auburn casino to come to Reno to their Reno casino on the weekends.
Yeah, I tend to think that will be the case, but also don't underestimate the power of any Station casino in the area. I've seen it in southern Nevada over the years, where folks will drive halfway across town to get to the food specials and the shows. They tend to go with a pretty strong entertainment policy it'll surprise some folks, I think. And you're going to see a kind of very well-run ship if they do decide to go forward and open up, including movie theaters and that sort of thing that sparkle really in a locals market.
You know, it's interesting. Mike Alonso was talking about that this could be even bigger than a $100 million project for the south part of Reno. And if that's the case, that would be the largest development since the Silver Legacy opened. Let me ask you this, and we only have less than a minute here, but there was a monumental battle between the Venetian Hotel Casino and the builders of that property. How was that resolved? I know it was in your column yesterday, but if you'd explain to our viewers.
Yes, Judge James Brennan, the senior judge in district court, finalized the action at that level. It's of course on appeal, but at that level, and Lara McGovern-Bobus, if we include interest, attorney fees, and costs, was awarded more than $80 million from Adelson's Venetian Group. The conflict was over whether the company got the Venetian finished on time and on budget and did it properly. It was a $40+ million judgment with with interest and so forth. It was about $80 million. It's really a monumental, probably the largest civil case in the history of the state in terms of trial time. With hundreds of hours of trial time
paperwork,
and more than 3 million pages of documentation that was introduced, plus about another 2 million pages that they weren't allowed to get in because Judge Brennan cut them off. Apparently he wanted to save a forest.
That is unreal. If you're a betting man, quick answer, do you think that the Venetian's going to end up winning this?
I do not. I think that the case was shown in court. I think Judge Brennan did a very capable job. You never know what the state Supreme Court will do, but I think they'll act prudently. This was an enormous case to try one time.
Hey, John, thank you so much for helping us out today.
John,
we sure appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's good to be with you.
We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Something spectacular has taken wing not far from Reno or Lake Tahoe, and never far from your mind. An escape of fine dining and legendary golf. Introducing the resort at Red Hawk. And at the center of it all, we've feathered our nest with new villas that have elevated Red Hawk to the status of a premier resort. The Resort at Red Hawk, a beautiful new arrival in northern Nevada.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
Ah, I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
Works for me. Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
If it's fun, it's here at the Pepper Mill, the $100,000 video themed slot celebration, with more winners each week, 100 random winners every Monday and Wednesday, and more cash prizes. $6,000 random drawings every Friday, plus chances to win up to $1,000 in free slot play on Mr. Money's Challenge. You'll have more fun with the Pepper Mill's video themed slot celebration, now worth over $100,000.
The slots that rock are at the Pepper Mill. Where are you winning?
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
Back on Nevada Newsmakers, great pundit panel. As always, Marlene Lockard is here with Capital Strategies, Harry York, CEO of the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce, and Pam DuPre, Executive Director of the Washoe County Democratic Party. Jim, you're up.
I got a question. You know, maybe I missed a couple of days of math class when I was in college, okay? But what is wrong with a public policy concept called at the legislature, let's give some money back? I mean, look at what we have seen for the last few days. We've seen we need state pay raises from everything from governor to dog catcher because it, quote unquote, will have better people, attract better people for the job, which is an excuse you and I have heard many years here in Reno. What's wrong with a public policy that says, let's give some money back to some people who paid the taxes?
Well, I don't think there's
why is that
anything
such a
wrong
striking
with giving
concept?
money back. The key is giving it back to the people who paid the taxes. And the DMV rebate, I don't think really does that. I really, and everybody knows where I'm coming from, I support Dina Titus, but her proposal gives more money back to the average tax-paying property owner citizen. Her freeze would have given more money back. Well, and that was one way of doing it.
When you talk about giving the money back to the people who paid the money, I would suggest to you that the people who paid the money are the residents of this state through sales taxes, through property taxes.
My point.
Certainly the business industry in this state paid the money. But, you know, it just irritates me that the longer the legislature is in session, everyone talks about spending all the money.
Well, the other question you have to ask is how much can we afford to give back? I mean, I think we saw this morning, Jim, that the distributive school account is in the hole. And one thing that we haven't looked carefully at yet in Carson City is the impact of the federal 2006 budget on the state of Nevada. $430 million impact on the state of Nevada.
Pam,
we need to figure that out
Marlene and I have been around politics in this state for about 30 years apiece. Okay, and it's always the same story. When you run out of money...
She started when she was 15.
She did. She did indeed. But, you know, when you run out of money, it's raise taxes. When you have a bunch of money, it's create new programs. And then when you run out of money again, it's, we don't have enough money for the programs we've created, so raise taxes.
Nobody's talking about creating new programs.
Yeah.
And we're talking about filling holes.
Well, hang on.
Wait a minute.
Full-day kindergarten?
Wait a minute. Full-day kindergarten?
No, I'm talking about the hole in the distributive school account.
I know, but you're saying
that's because these geniuses decided they forgot to put it in their budget. That was interesting.
We're talking about the $430 million hole that Nevada's going to see as a result of the Bush administration's 2006 budget. Those kind of things need to be carefully looked at.
Okay, Harry, get a word in here quick.
Well, I think what we ought to do is look at capping government spending at all levels. And that really should have been the answer to the property tax issue. We discussed that before. It really isn't the assessed valuation. It's how much money do you have to pay as a taxpayer?
Well, Senator Beers has that.
And that's really what it ought to be.
The Tabor amendment is out there.
But the property tax, the way it's distributed, is so complicated, it makes it pretty hard to who you cap. But that's where we really ought to be looking. We ought to cap the state spending also.
But we ought to give back what we can afford to give back, basically, and it ought to be done in a fair way. And the DMV
problem
discussion
is everyone always throws the kicker in there. Well, it has to be in a fair way. We have to make sure we don't give enough back.
Okay, but Jim, what's your proposal?
My proposal is
it's not over yet. You're crying the sky is falling, and the legislature's not over. There will be money back.
I am just suggesting that as a public policy viewpoint, that it's time for elected officials to talk about giving money back.
Well, they are.
Well, I
They're
think they
absolutely
have
talking
been.
about it.
Creating new
Well, they did
They
the first
absolutely
week.
talking
I don't
about
think I've heard anything.
I haven't
about it
heard anything
recently.
No,
since the
well,
first
that
week.
was,
Well, they were a
Well,
little preoccupied,
the-
I think, with other issues, but this will come back to the forefront, I'm sure.
Well, what are we looking at now? Over $1.2 billion surplus
Close
right
to
now?
the latest revelation, when we had Perry come
Not
on the
talking
program,
about next year's,
he
the
was
next
talking
session.
like $1.4 billion of extra money, and there's been talk since then that it's closer to $2 billion.
Yeah, when the economic forum meets in
No, that's the projection for the end of 2 years. But,
Right.
But at the end of June, they're going to have $1 billion extra
Right.
from the taxes they raised last time. All of what, if we hadn't raised it, we'd had a balanced budget.
No, wait a minute. Wait, no, Harry, in fairness, the surplus is not from the taxes that were raised. The surplus is from gaming and sales. The taxes that were raised are bringing in the amount.
That's not my point. You still have $1 billion in surplus.
Yeah. Well, absolutely, I agree with that.
Well-
But let's not say that it's a surplus from the taxes that were raised.
Well,
They're
then let's
bringing
go back
in
to
what's
talk about
estimated.
who you're going to rebate it to, because then
if
you're
you had
saying-
not raised the tax, wait a minute.
One at a time.
Wait a minute. If you had not raised the taxes,
we'd have a balanced budget.
You'd have a balanced budget. You raised the taxes, which I think there were some legitimate reasons for, other than people that had crystal balls, okay? And so you're saying that those taxes don't equate to this this surplus. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
You've been spending too much time down there, Marlene.
No. Jim, don't twist what I said. The surplus is more gaming and more sales than what was projected. That's where the surplus is coming from, and that's a fact.
So
that
we
that
still
is-
would have had a balanced
that-
budget. We didn't need to raise those taxes on small businesses and large businesses.
Well, there were needs that were met
That's where we have to leave
in
it.
immediate fashion.
I'm glad I got a chance to jump in there. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
This is one of Sierra Power's main generating plants. It's right next door to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. These plants provide all the clean, reliable power that businesses need. TRI has 3 independent power generation facilities on site. For sensitive manufacturing companies and high-tech firms, this benefit is invaluable. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
Your best value in sight is here for you to see. From frames to lenses to eye exams, you're covered A to Z. Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
Davis Optical Centers, with 2 locations in Reno and Sparks.
Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
And coming up next week,
We have Aaron Neff from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. We have Mike Hillerby, the governor's chief of staff, and we have Sheila Leslie, who's a member of the assembly from Washoe County.
We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.